The people that lived here for many generations before the Spanish arrived were primarily hunters and gatherers, living off the land and off the coast. All the way back to, we have archaeological evidence back to almost 15,000 years ago. They lived in large communities with many households, big populations.
I think when you look at the history of this area, it really is the history of water. We're recording this on the Bayboro campus of University of South Florida, and we are next to Bayboro Harbor. And that water has, defined this area, for thousands of years.
I think it's important for us here to realize that on this campus and basically everywhere in life, we are who we are because of everyone who came before us. That includes thousands of years of history of indigenous people that were on this land and took care of this land and were stewards of this place.
I just think it's really important to have a truth narrative. There were people here, there were lives here, there were entire civilizations here. And it seems like all of that history has been erased. The land was pretty much taken. People were forcibly removed from the land.
Well, unfortunately, when the Spanish came in, they brought in viruses, diseases, and caused a lot of death. There's also genocides occurring, warfare. The populations, the communities that lived here when the Spanish arrived no longer live here today.
With this land acknowledgement, we're specifically talking about the land, but it's also the people and the cultures that were here before us. So the stories of the past really help shape who we are today, the stories of who we are now and the stories that will be in the future.
It starts the conversation that Native Americans are part of our history, and part of that history is painful, but we wanted to reach out to the Seminole Miccosukee and get their input and see how they felt about the land acknowledgement, because they are very much a living people. They said, we'd love for you to come down to Big Cypress, see our museum, find out a little bit more about the Seminole.
Going out there, it was almost like going into a different world, something that was more peaceful, more honoring of where we are, as opposed to, the big lights and big buildings. And it was just really good to learn about the people and, who they are, who they were, in the past, and who they are striving to become.
And we heard about their concerns. They didn't want Native American land acknowledgement just to be something that's said and then forgotten about it. They wanted it to be an acknowledgement of the people that had once lived there, and they wanted it to be a pact that we were going to start working with them and start thinking about them as a living people.
The acknowledgement is something that I think that we have to take stock in, that we want our campus to be inclusive, that we want to have indigenous students here, that when they set foot onto our campus, that they feel welcomed, that we acknowledge their history and their presence.
What I've been doing the last few weeks and months is to go through our library collection, the books that we have in our collection, and we're going to have a first floor exhibit where people can see these books. And some of the covers of these books really remind us of the history that we're talking about with this land acknowledgement.
We've been working with the museum, and we are working on getting an art exhibit in our gallery in the library with a Seminole artist. And it's actually going to be a visual artist as well as a sculptural artist. It's about reminding people that the Seminole are not a history note in Florida's history, but they're very much a part of Florida today.
I'm a citizen of the Choctaw Nation of Oklahoma, so this is very important to me, that the university is acknowledging this and that we continue on with our conversation with the Seminoles. So I won't let this, and I know that other members of the USF St. Petersburg community will not stop at this. We want to continue to work with the Seminoles and talk with them and have a relationship with them. So I feel very proud